Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Speed Talk on Equitable Strategies for Park Activation, Building Community and Partnerships. So I'm excited to be able to speak to you all here, as this is my first attendance, as well as our organization, Civic Threads, first attendance at a CalFresh conference. My name is Christina, and I'm the Public Health Project Manager at Civic Thread. So Civic Thread is a nonprofit organization that serves the greater Sacramento region, all the way as north as Yuba Sutter counties, as south as Yolo County. And our mission is to elevate institutionally underserved voices and priorities to co-create communities, neighborhoods, and places where everyone can thrive. So as you see here, that's just almost all of our team. We're small but mighty, and we comprise of various specialties that reflect the community-rooted intersectoral work that we conduct in the region. So the keyword here is intersectoral. Our focus is in health equity in the built environment. So that's the intersection of public health, transportation, community development, social, and environmental justice. And that's the lens that I'm going to be presenting to you all today. So this is just a brief overview of some of the things we're going to talk about. I'm going to start off with the learning objectives overview and what I hope that we can accomplish in learning today. Going over the background and existing conditions of the park site that this presentation is primarily about, and how we've been able to weave the civic thread through 24th Bypass Park, which is the park site. So the goal of the presentation is to use 24th Street Bypass Park, located in Sacramento, California, to provide insight for both government agencies and community regarding equitable strategies for collaboration to move progress along together. So that first learning objective is to build intersectoral relationships between agencies and community for collaboration. Number two, working with local government to inform and educate on investment needs for historically disinvested communities. And three, utilizing community feedback to apply for grant funding. So before we talk about what we have done, I want to first paint a picture of the park site and the neighborhood in which it resides. So hopefully you can all see this. The park site right there where that little magnifying glass is, it's located in the south area within the city of Sacramento. So I want to zoom in so we can get a better look. If you see that red line up at the top, that's the north border of the Meadowview neighborhood. So it's located in between two major freeways, that park site right there where the pin is, between I-5 and 99. So it's common that communities that reside along these freeways do experience environmental related disparities, and on CalEnviroscreen rank very high on sensitivity. So this particular park site census tract, 42.02, is a melting pot representing 41% Hispanic/Latinx communities, 21% Asian American Pacific Islander communities, and 20% Black and African American communities. This location is very central to many key points, and the irony is that accessibility is challenged by high traffic, bad driver behavior, and disconnected infrastructure off of Florin Road to the north, and you can't see here, but the south is Meadowview Road. So key nearby locations to this park site include cultural faith-based organizations and churches, a public library, a community center, K-8 schools in the Sacramento City Unified School District, and older adult housing that includes senior living facilities, skilled nursing facilities, and affordable housing. This park site also serves CFHL approved census tracts to the east and southwest of that pinpoint right there. And these areas also rank high in sensitivity on a CalEnviroscreen. So here on the left, you're going to see a photo of 24th Street Bypass Park. Not really much to see. What you see is what exists for roughly 7 acres. This area is primarily open green space with little to no amenities. So previously, it offered a shade structure and seating, but it was removed due to the inability to maintain it. What the park does offer is few, but the local community does try to enjoy it. This includes benches, however, spread apart across the 7 acres, a water fountain that is unusable at the moment, a walking path that is popular for older adults, parents and their kids, and people with dogs, and some trees planted around the walking path that provide some natural shade. So I mentioned in the previous slide that some of the places and groups that reside near the park site Sacramento Manor being one of them. They are located west to that park site we were looking at and is home to some of our largest community champions and advocates. And they've been just a huge catalyst to our community driven progress. Sacramento Manor is affordable senior housing under Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency, with many of the residents having limited opportunities to amenities, food access, and transportation. So many of you in the audience already know the huge positive impact that affordable and accessible opportunities to physical activity, socialization, and being outdoors can have for older adults and their quality of life. So to know this green space could have been a central hub to improve the daily lives of many, but is underutilized, that's really unfortunate. So according to the City of Sacramento's Park Project Programming Guide, which I'm going to call PPPG because it's very long, that is a rubric that guides priority projects for investment in different plan areas throughout the city. 24th Street Bypass Park scored as a middle tier priority park project, and that was placed in a lower priority tier than projects that resided in more affluent areas in the southern planning area. It's important to note that this PPPG was last updated in 2018. So it's actually currently in works to be updated with 5+ years worth of feedback for those improvements. And due to those relationships that we have built with City of Sacramento Youth Parks and Community Enrichment, which is the owner of the PPPG, I'm going to be shorthanding the Parks Department to YIPSI, that's their acronym. We are able to better understand challenges that impede progress and work alongside YIPSI to support and accelerate a shared mission and the capacity and resources that an organization like Civic Thread can, versus working against them and further hindering progress because we're frustrated. So some challenges which are likely synonymous to what some of you are seeing in your own circles include staffing changes, sparse staffing for maintenance and low budgets at the city level, and park improvements being reliant on the presence of grant funding, which is not always sustainable. So before I get into the weeds of how we've been able to work in this collaborative setting, I first need to give flowers where they are owed. We are not the first to do this work. We're able to continue this work due to the large efforts, research, and conversations and engagement that took place long before us. So most recently, starting in 2018, Urban Land Institute Sacramento developed this engagement toolkit that you see here on the right, guided by a community-rooted task force to implement health equity practices in South Sacramento. That's a historically underserved area within the city of Sacramento. Fast forward to 2021, through a series of community feedback, 24th Street Bypass Park was identified as an opportunity area to host park activations to meet some of those health equity goals identified in the toolkit. The following year, ULI partnered with our organization to host Meadowview Family Festival, a robust park activation that we're going to talk more about in this next section. I tried to get creative with this title, weaving the civic thread, being us, through the 24th Street Bypass Park. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about our goals and intentions in this setting to paint a better picture. So since working with ULI to further build upon our relationships in the Meadowview community, we have entered this space respectfully and equitably and have been intentional with these goals that we have set for our efforts here. Parts of Meadowview are underinvested in but have huge community champions, and they lead with huge hearts. We intend to support efforts, not duplicate what's already going on by community champions. We have also aimed to co-build community through our events, such as the activation, and other engagement opportunities to co-plan with community, for community, elevating diverse ages, identities, and lived experience. We also aim to offer support to government partners where possible and move towards park progress amidst red tape. In other words, pushing through no and working together to figure out how. Through our mission, we weave through different sectors to unify a shared mission for all to improve Meadowview. And most importantly, we grow authentic relationships and trust all around to co-create access to healthy destinations, which is why we're all here. So try to go through this as seamlessly as possible. This is a timeline of our efforts. It looks kind of crazy on the screen, but I'll walk you through it. This is a roadmap of how we've engaged over the last year and the progress and bumps we've experienced, highlighting places in the purple text where we were able to utilize our role as a CalFresh subcontractor and our CalFresh project scope items to support Meadowview. So, starting in the fall 2022, up there on the left under CFHL assessments, we hosted a park and a walk audit alongside AARP and SAC-RT, which is a regional transit authority, to learn about community barriers to and around the park site, including accessibility and transportation challenges regarding the nearby bus stops. This told us what people wanted to see at their local park and how they wanted to utilize it, in addition to all the reasons that were preventing them from doing so. And following these audits, we hosted the park activation event with ULI Sacramento and Councilmember Vang from District 8. Here we conducted another CFHL assessment to expand reach to event visitors and gain more insight on the vision folks had for the park site and its potential improvements and amenities. By winter 2022, our team compiled community feedback from the last 2 months and presented it to YPCE, ULI, and AARP under our CFHL scope of agency engagement. So this convening was really significant for YPCE to understand the supplemental community outreach that our groups had been doing, and by chance that aligned with their timeline of grant development for funding for this park. Now into spring 2023, here in the middle. For the second year in a row, YPCE was working on a joint Clean California grant application with City of Sacramento Utilities and City of Sacramento Public Works to request close to $5 million in funding to improve this park site, the streets to it, and a detention basin that is located across the street and currently a trash dump site. So our compiled community feedback from these CFHL assessments were plugged into the application and actually guided their proposed designs to incorporate features prioritized by their community. But unfortunately, due to this year's Caltrans map radius requirements, this area was no longer eligible for a match. And because YPCE did not have enough capital to fund this proposed project on their own, the application was unfortunately not submitted. But at this time, Civic Thread was also applying for AARP Community Challenge funds to support the momentum occurring at the park. And at the start of summer 2023, we learned that we'd have been awarded a quick action grant of around $16,000 by AARP to conduct another park activation, which came at the perfect time because without this Clean California grant application, there now is a gap in efforts. Also, the city was having staffing changes. They didn't have a grant manager. And so we knew that park infrastructure was not coming anytime soon. So the AARP Community Challenge grant just came at the perfect time. We were able to leverage relationships with YPCE, and they were able to consult us what immediate actions that we should be taking that were more feasible and could get buy-in from stakeholders. And they encouraged us to go after park recreational programming since we couldn't do park improvements. And they connected us with folks listed there that comprise of older adult services, gifts to share, a fundraising extension of YPCE, and the maintenance office. And these allowed us to have conversations to better understand what alternative funding methods were outside of grants and logistics that we should be considering when advocating for program and other resources. They also helped us design our CFHL annual event in the summertime to bridge the gap between community and local government and to guide conversation on long-term park programming. And simultaneously, as we're working towards long-term change in the future, we need to keep things moving short-term in the present as to not lose momentum around the park and the community. So through our AARP grant, we hosted 2 visioning workshops in the summer in English and Spanish, one hosted at the Manor with the older adults and one in the public library. We were able to receive guidance on what activities folks wanted to see in this year's activation and co-planned with a total of 20 Meadowview residents ranging from ages. And now it's fall 2023. We're here now. We're headed into our second year of park activation, which is next Saturday. And following this event, we are going to continue to have conversations with older adult services and apply for their endowment funds to bring portable equipment and storage to the park space and encourage recreation and future events. And also define community requested programming ranging from walking groups and morning exercise classes. And so just quickly going through the learning objectives, you'll see all the important stakeholders on the community and agency sides that have been integral for us to move pieces along to get us here within this last year. They've offered their resources, guidance, and support and have been in spaces to collaborate actually with one another. And the sharing of language and values have been a step towards building some trust and transparency in an environment of historical harm and disparity. Learning objective 2. So here, having these communication vessels are vital for organizations such as us to play this role of duality that I've been talking about, learning from community, elevating it forward through channels that community has limited access to. We're kind of the megaphone to their qualitative data to ensure their neighborhood is not lost or forgotten when prioritizations are occurring at local government level. And this also allows us to gather specific needs such as language justice and mobility, and that captures the nuances of each neighborhood for their local government to consider and better understand. And then lastly, utilizing community feedback for grant funding. It has been critical to use community feedback in shaping the community's proposed design for the park and bulking up their Clean California grant application. Also supporting our awards for the Community Challenge grant, and to now have these optimistic conversations with older adult services for grant development efforts. Being able to weave community priorities and guidance into funding and implementation literally puts money where your mouth is. It is an opportunity for local governments to show their respect and commitment for the folks that they serve, and for community to see that their feedback is essential for the betterment of their neighborhood and will be a catalyst of change. And I want to end on a happy note here. Photos of our visioning workshop. So we've covered a lot of the technical pieces. Those are just words. This is what it looks like. I want to bring it to life with the people behind all of the co-planning that we've done. Up there are residents from Sac Manor doing a card sort activity to rank park activation activities. Down here was a creative icebreaker from a CFHL annual event where communities tapped into their inner artists and designed what their ideal park looked like on a 2 scale outline. And this is what our park activation looks like. That is also going to be happening next Saturday. That after this conversation, I'm going to be thinking about for the rest of the day. So here you see the various activities that community has also prioritized in 2022 and the vendors that we hosted. It brings that vacant park space that you saw earlier, that empty green space for 7 acres, brings it to life. It shows folks what could be and encourages collaboration to make it happen together. So yeah, would love to connect with you all. If any of you guys have interest in park activations or have any strategies to share with me, you can email me here. I think the QR code goes to my LinkedIn. I don't know. I made this presentation a while ago. And yeah, thank you, everyone.